Yeah. PWR. Hey, that's such an abrupt stop. We need a fade on that. Hey, everybody, welcome back this week. So again, those of you joining us, longtime viewers of the channel, thank you. If you're new here and you're not following us on Facebook or YouTube, stick around a while. Hit that subscribe button. But really excited about today's guest here today. We've got Duke. Duke is the president of Ketch Products. So many of you are familiar with the Ketch board, which you saw my recent video where I kind of compared the Ketch board to the Yak Attack leaderboard. We're going to talk with Duke here today on Ketch products, but also they're not just a measuring board company. They offer a lot of different products, and there's some really quality stuff out there that I feel like maybe not everybody knows. So if you're watching here on YouTube and Facebook, again, thank you. We also stream on Shopify or Spotify. Go on Apple, Amazon, iHeart, all of that. So wherever you get your podcast at, definitely check us out there. If you do listen to us on those platforms, if you would, do us a huge favor. You leave us a review. Not sure how much that helps out, but it sure as heck can't hurt. Also, the sponsor of our channel, so Red Odo batteries. You've heard me talk about them. I use them personally and reached out to them about the sponsorship because, again, I really like this product. I just did a short on the YouTube about the mini battery, and this is what I really suggest to a lot of our customers about running your 12 volt, your motor guides, your bow mount motors, a lot of different products like, again, your fish finders and electronics, but definitely check them out. You can catch their links, on any of my videos and on Facebook here. Again, use code Paddler. They had an Amazon Day sale going on, which our discount code actually stacked on top of. Really, really cheap batteries, but really good quality. So if you don't want to spend more on your battery than you do your actual electronics, definitely give them a shout. And then I will put the link down in the comments here as well. So anyways, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on Duke. Duke, what's going on, man?
What's happening, guys? How you doing?
Man, just living the dream. Just living the dream.
Same here.
So tell us a little about yourself there. What got you started? What inspired you to do Ketch products?
We were, I've owned a machine shop for quite a while now, and we did a lot of assembly automation. And there's three business partners. One of the three legs, the other one other than me, was also a big time angler, and it was like, hey, we needed an excuse of fishing 100 times a year, so we started a product line. And in full transparency, we had no intention of ever becoming a fishing brand. We just wanted an excuse to go fishing. So that's kind of where we started. Like the thing took off in 2018, or like 2017, 2018, when Chad Hoover approved the boards for kayak bass fishing, and then like the rest is history, as they say.
I mean, we own Ketch boards ourselves.
Yep.
We got the full, the Ketch board. I think we got the 26 and the 32, as well as the ID holders. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can definitely speak to the quality of it, which, again, that's my thing, and that's obviously hers as well, I think. But quality products, buy once, cry once type deal. But, same thing here. We've got some local kayak tournaments, local groups, and again, they use the same products. anywhere from people doing the custom aluminum boards all the way down to the carbonates. We've got carbonates ourselves. The only time I've even seen any of those even break, I ran over it with a half-ton truck a couple times accidentally. So yeah, not a big deal. I knew I goofed up, but yeah, man. And I did the video on so now Yak Attack come out with their leaderboard, and then you guys with the Ketch board. So I tell people everyone gets excited about the new products and all that, but as far as price point goes with the ID holder, they're about the same product, same price there. But you guys are not just you don't just make measuring boards. So that was something I kind of said in the intro there, obviously, but tell us a little bit about some of your other products. So you got looks like some Pro Angler products and some Bonafide PWR stuff. I'm sure you got some new stuff coming out there, but tell us a little bit about your other products you make.
So we've got like a whole new initiative, right? Like in the process of having a machine shop and rigging your own boat, a lot of people are like, hey, can you do that for me? Can you do that for me? Can you do that for me? That wasn't the way the bump board business worked out, but I digress. So what happened is we ended up getting a lot of requests for rigging, and a lot of the products were like becoming so like commonplace that we ended up like kind of putting them into production as accessories products. And we talk about it as like platform specific accessories. A lot of what we're doing is like built on a certain platform, and we're like playing catch up, as far as like, responding to all the platforms out there. We've got a lot of stuff coming for New Canoe. We've got more stuff coming for Old Town. Hobie seems to be the brand that we've kind of glommed onto, and that's kind of me, because like I've been on that platform for a while, so I know it really well. And then also like that stuff has been selling out nonstop for the whole year. So like I've been kind of playing catch up with all that stuff. But I mean, we've got a lot of cool stuff planned for Crescent boats.
Nice.
We're all over the place really with it. We're trying to build more of like a standardized rigging platform. So we're like doing some T-tracks. We're going to have 4 T-track profiles before the end of the year. And then, all the accessories that kind of go with it. I think we're skewing a little bit more towards like getting into boats as well, so some of the stuff will be a little bit bigger than, like is useful on kayaks, but I don't know, with all the XTR talk, like maybe go on kayaks, you know what I'm saying?
I'm about to break out the dictionary again to see if we can start, what is a kayak anymore?
Well, I don't think it matters. It's like
yes.
Like it's a fishing kayak. It's not a kayak.
Yeah.
We're not like, breaking out Webster's dictionary to figure out if everyone's, like holding true to that definition. Like, cause we haven't been doing it for years and years. And, I've seen you guys comment like a lot, about like the whole hubbub about like, it's a John boat. It's like, I don't know, man. Like we're all trying to go fishing. Like we're not kayakers, we're fishermen. Yeah. So like, they're just giving you a platform to do what you want to put 2 graphs and forward facing sonar and like revert, like you want 2 motors on the thing, like your boat. Like that's just, that's the truth of the matter,
And that was kind of we were kind of in the comment section on Alex Rudd's podcast last night. Yep. And that was one thing that kind of came to me because they were talking about this, the XTR, and I was like, you know what, if the people that are buying the XTR or the people that are buying the Blue Sky Angler or even the native Titan X, they don't care if it's a kayak or not. Those are not the people those are meant for. Your purists, your kayakers, your people that want to grab a paddle, and we like that too, but we also like to fish. So your big open water fishing, large lakes, even some offshore stuff. Yeah, those people don't care if it's a kayak or not. They care if it's going to be able to hold all their gear. They care if they're going to have to drill a bunch of holes into a kayak or boat to rig up their stuff. And a lot of these, kayaks are coming out with the ease of the DIY group is growing because the need for major modifications is shrinking. You got access plates where you can drill into. If you mess one of those up, throw it in the trash, get another one for a couple of bucks, put it back on, try again. So the days of hopefully turning your boat into Swiss cheese, hopefully you're kind of nearing a close there, within reason, obviously. I think technology and accessories are always going to move faster than the boat technology, because again, forward facing sonar comes out. Well, now kayaks have to kind of, okay, what do we make for that? So, you got your sniper poles, your all this different stuff. And then by the time that catches up to the forward facing sonar, the mounting will change a little bit, I'm sure, or, they'll just switch it all together. I think eventually it's going to get to where it's kind of like even ultrasound technology. When you go to the doctor and you're seeing if it's a boy or girl, now they got 3-dimensional. I think that is going to be where their whole forward facing sonar is going to, is it's going to be like having a camcorder or a camera set up 360 degrees underneath your kayak or boat. But
I mean, well, you look at and then you see the new Lowrance system, which is kind of like all in one, except for the side scan. And so I don't know. I don't think that in the right hands, like I'm kind of on I don't care about the technology. Like I'm all about use the technology, use whatever you want, like as far as like the side of the forward facing argument. But the reality of it is, a lot of that data was still available if you knew how to use your side scan and you knew how to use your down scan, right? So I don't think it's like a huge. I think people fixate too long now on one spot.
Yep.
That's something that's not necessarily beneficial to the tournament anglers that are watching, because there's a big fish that's you can't recruit a big fish and you're going to sit there with the forward facing and kind of do it. So, but like, generally I think like, the technology we should, it's never been a problem before. I don't think forward facing sonar should be a problem. Like if forward facing sonar was a problem, why weren't the trolling motors that would spot lock? Why wasn't that a problem? Like why wasn't a problem? The better line, dude, it's infinitely like when you talk about fishing, it goes on forever. So that's kind of my take on that whole thing.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things that I tell him all the time, I do not use any of it because I don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
But I have no problem with if I'm in a tournament and I've got people that I know that are using it, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. And if we did, we would. I mean, I don't use electronics either. I'm kind of dialed into some of the spots, and she is as well. So we know where they're at, but we're also not extreme competitive tournament fishing either. So I understand the need for it. I've used it before, and I know how to use it for the most part. But I got to where I found myself looking at the screen more than casting. And even then, you're still using some instinct to it. So if you see some structure, I was like, okay, what am I going to throw? What do I see? What are the signs of life? Are there birds around? You could see, bait fish hitting the top water. You can see, maybe eagle out there or, heron, anything like that. That's what I look for. But yeah, I mean, does Fish Finder help? Of course it does. But I always tell people, even the forward-facing sonar, it doesn't make a poor fisherman great, but it does make a good one better. So you got to know what you're looking at, obviously. But
sure, any tool, and my counter would be you can make that argument about any tool that you make better for
absolutely
right hands. Any incremental improvement, yields more fish, bigger bags, whatever the goal is. Funner times, like some of them, like me, I don't fish tournaments really, like just for the shits and giggles,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can I say shits and giggles?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, man, we do tournaments, but the company I work for, we sponsor some of the local groups. So even if I do fish some of those tournaments, I'm basically just donating my winnings. Or if I do win, I just tell them, hey, just add it to the next tournament and make the bag bigger, help that group grow. Because I'm not in it for the money, that's for sure. But I just like to fish. I like to be out on the water. I grew up in the country, so I like being in nature. And my passions, rivers and creeks, going down, fishing for smallmouth. She's kind of a largemouth. That's what she likes, and that's what I like too, obviously. But to me, I like to unplug. I don't like answering my phone or getting text messages. I like fishing. I like seeing bald eagles, and I like seeing anything. Like we're blessed in this area. We got the Buffalo River, we got Crooked Creek, we got the White River that runs right behind the store here, and that's kind of where I'm at on it. But
are you in Missouri or Arkansas?
I'm North Arkansas,
Okay.
Extreme North Arkansas.
Yeah,
what are we, like 35 miles from the border of Missouri?
Yeah, probably not even that much.
Yeah. So we're right. I'm just outside of Mountain Home, Arkansas.
We're north. We're literally north central.
Yeah.
So if you look at the center of Arkansas, right on the border, that's where we're at.
Yeah. And we're
like that. I feel like you guys are living in like maybe like the most underrated land in the entire state.
Yeah. Cost of living low.
Yeah.
Sportsman's paradise is
Beautiful.
very high.
Mountain bike, go kayak fish, go hunt, except the puny deer, but
yeah, that's facts.
I tell you what, we've almost killed our limit in deer just with our vehicle this year. It seems like it's always a close call.
Definitely smaller than they are up north, though. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The first time we went down for the FLW Cup to Lake Ouachita for the one and only kayak event down there, and I remember seeing the deer down there, and like they had we count one horn at a time, so 4-point rack, so an 8-pointer, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, dude, they're like 120 pounds. I was like, that's like the size of a dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen a deer down south before. So.
Every now and then you'll see a good sized one, but it's a lot of small to medium, I would say, but just a lot of them. There's the sheer numbers of them because there's forest area everywhere. And it seems like this year we've seen them kind of get out in the middle of the day a lot more than usual. Whoever, of course we got that chronic wasting disease in this area too. So that's kind of been a thing as well.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah. But so when you're not working, man, what kind of stuff do you like to do? Are is it mostly fishing, or you kind of touch on the hunting part?
I'm a workaholic, man. I fortunately, what I was doing before I was just inundated with work was fishing. So, I still get to stay a little bit close to it, kind of developing products and talking to people, but I do not did. The last 2 years have been, in 2022, I probably fished 200 days. And in 2023, I probably fished 12 days. And then this year, I fished 0 days.
That sounds about right. Everyone talks to us like, oh yeah, you guys go kayaking all the time. I'm like, we're lucky if we get in a couple trips over the summer.
Yeah, because spring and summer is our busy time. So that's me at the shop. I don't take any time off during the busy time. Most of my time off is my birthday is December 30th, so I'll take that week off for Christmas and birthday, and then getting past January 1st. You're already, of course, usually by January, we've already got 25, the next year's models already on the floor, usually around November, December. So ever since COVID hit, it seems, the supply chain went crazy. Now the preseason orders are like in July, and then they're hitting ground sometimes in, September. October, November, sometimes even September. So I remember that was the case with the native Titan X, that comes out at ICAST doing preseason ordering, and then those things hit. I want to say that was October, late October. So and that's the one negative part, at least from a retail standpoint of ICAST, is we're at a paddle shop. You're trying to get rid of that year's inventory, and you're only 6 months into the year at that point. And now you've got this new stuff. So you got the XTR, and you got, last year it was the Bonafide Skiff and the Titan X, and then Bonafide came out with the PWR literally like a couple of weeks after that. So, people are, instead of looking at the stuff that's already out this year, they're already looking over to next year too. So,
yeah, I mean, I think there's, and I think that a lot of brands, not going to name them right here, but the ones that are like taking that big box strategy, they're failing to see the whole picture, and they're failing to see how all the service, all the warranty work ends up at the specialty dealers. So you need to work with the specialty dealers, like you work in those deals with the specialty dealers. That's my piece on that. But like I feel like we've seen a lot of brands like become more comfortable with that kind of big box strategy, and ultimately I think that's it becomes a losing strategy for a lot of paddle sports dealers. We're a dealer, we sell to a lot of paddle sports dealers, so like we see like a lot of those guys that are struggling like right now, obviously like no one's going to mince any words about the marine business, like fishing business being lean right now, and, but like we see it firsthand, and it's like there's a lot of people, and ultimately big box moving in, I don't know what that's going to do for us, like as a sport. Like I don't think it's a good thing.
It's not. And I will die on that soapbox. I've been pretty vocal about that, about supporting the local paddle shop. Now, granted, and when I tell people this, I also put out the paddle shop's got to earn it too. So
sure.
It's hard to sell product when you don't have product, but it's hard to justify getting a lot of inventory when you've got those companies either going direct to customer or big box. And what the big box problem does is the harder it becomes on local paddle shops. I'm talking about your small mom and pop places. That becomes harder. It becomes harder for them to stay in business. And when they go out of business, they may buy that kayak at a big box store, but to get it serviced, they may be driving 3 hours or more out of the way just to get a warranty part, or just, and to ask that paddle shop to mail it to them and out of their pocket. They're not, they didn't sell the kayak. They're trying to make money on the part, granted, but, and what does that do? In my opinion, that hurts the customer more than anything, because when you buy that new kayak, and I'm talking about, $1,000, $1,500, $2,500 and up, you expect to be taken care of. And if you're buying it at a big box store, they don't have the parts. And I don't care if you're buying a cheap one from the grocery store.
They don't do the warranty. They won't tell you how to rig it 100%. And like they won't even hide that. Like if you asked them when you bought it, like, hey, if I want to mount a trolling motor on this, will you show me how to do it? Nah, man.
I was selling leggings last weekend.
You know what YouTube is? You could go get YouTube.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we've actually seen is we've had customers come in that went to a different shop that needed some stuff done and warranty work, and the shop didn't do it because they didn't sell them the kayak.
That's right. Yeah.
And so that might become a issue as well.
Yeah.
No,
and that should never be the issue, but yeah.
And it is an issue, and I'll say that I've experienced the same. Like, realistically, one of the things that we preach is just like buy your products through a reputable dealer in your local area, the best local dealer to you. Like, and that's the person that's always going to take care of you the best. And like, it doesn't like it changes for, you can only travel so many miles, and there's a ton of good stores out there, but like do your research and like figure out what the good stores are, because like, not all of them are good stores. And like if you buy your, like we'll probably do business with Cabela's this year, right? But they're, like if you buy a Hobie Pro Angler from Cabela's, like are you going to get the service that if I bought it through you? No. Like
and both Hobie and Cabela's will tell you that. That's the crazy part is, Cabela's will only carry certain Hobies, but they're not going to do the parts. They're not going to do the warranty at all. And, now granted, paddle shops are reimbursed from Hobie for warranty work, but say you buy from a Cabela's or an online retailer, you may not have a paddle shop nearby. And,
correct.
No matter what company it is, they're not charitable companies. I would really be surprised to see an instance where big box can beat the price on the same kayak. So, that's another thing I always tell people too. We're going to work with you any way we can to earn your business. Not only is that service, but we want to be good on your price too. So, it's not like buying it at I'll just say the grocery store, but everyone knows who I'm talking about.
Oh, but what, you have to like warranty that lithium battery, that you just bought. You saved a ton of money buying it on Amazon, and now it's like, oh well, yeah, we'd warranty it, except like you can't even ship that to us.
Yeah,
because you don't have a hazmat cert. And so anything like, I think it's bigger than like 6 or 8 amp hours, and like you're required a hazmat certification. We had to do that because we've been shipping some batteries for some time. But again, like that's one of those things, like, the warranty that you're buying online is totally predicated upon you shipping that stuff back. If you can't ship it back, they don't have to fulfill the warranty. You've got a worthless warranty. So if you don't work through the local dealer, especially like lithium is one of the things I like. I'm always like, lithium batteries is always like local dealer. Work through your local dealer, and that is 100% the best way to do it.
And Michael brings up a good point is, when you go in, I can't tell you the number of times, even just today, where people came in and were asking me about something, and I'm going, hold on a second, go talk to him. Like he's the one who does all the wiring. He does all the installs and everything. We've got 2 PWRs on the floor right now with NK300 motors on them.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, he's done all the work on them. So when people have questions, they can just pick his brain. And I can't tell you the number of customers we have that walk in and say, hey, I have this kayak. I want to do this. How could we make this work? And so there's always like just the amount of knowledge that he has just because of his work with so many different customers and so many different things that they wanted to do. They come up with things that I'm like, I don't even know how you came up with that.
Well, we're a specialty shop too. And I always realize, and I try not to be blind to that fact, that not everybody has a specialty shop. So a lot of places will be a paddle shop that maybe specializes in bait and tackle, and maybe they've got a new canoe or a Bonafide or something, or a Jackson in the back. So that's another thing too. So that's all we do is kayaks and kayak accessories. And
it always changes no matter what it is. Like there's some people that they're just Hobie dealers, or they're just like, they service just the fish. Some that are like, there's some that are like paddle purists, and they only service like the paddle snob market, like the canoe market. And I personally love a canoe.
Yes.
No qualms with the canoe group, but like the paddle snobs all kind of think like no one fishes from these vessels, and like realistically, that's a big part of what drives the sales for them. So
that up there. That is a 2014 Mad River Explorer 16. So I've always liked being on the Buffalo. That's most of what people do on the Buffalo's canoe. This is really important because this is the last year they made the Royal X, and that's the thing with canoe retail now is you have T4X, but the Royal X, why? And again, I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that, but Royal X was kind of the gold standard of it, and when they were bought out back in 2013, I think it was, they quit making it, and the whole industry seems like they've been chasing it. And obviously, COVID really hit the canoe. COVID hit the canoe industry a lot harder than the kayak industry, I think, because they couldn't get those materials. And I think when we're a Winona dealer also, and I think
Okay.
In 2020 and 21, I think they only did preseason orders, and they didn't take orders for the rest of the year because they couldn't make it.
And it feels like there was a time where there was no canoes in the shop at all for like a year to year and a half.
22, yeah, we couldn't even order them, so it was just kind of a weird thing there. One thing, I got a question here from New Fishing. Said back in April, asked about rod holder covers for the New Canoe Unlimited, and then told they were coming. Asked if there was any ETA.
I don't know, like we're like, dude. So we're fully like. I plan on putting a rigged out alt or unlimited like on the water in like the next 2 weeks, and like how like I'm guessing like maybe like 3-4 weeks for parts. We've been, like really been playing catch up. I had a lofty goal of I wanted to release one new SKU every week for all of 2024, and I'm a little bit behind. So like it was a lot of like that. It was a lot of that initial push where everyone like you guys obviously saw where everyone wanted to put 2 graphs on their boats, right?
Yeah.
You know, like so like all that crossbar stuff and like the Jake plates and all the Hobie stuff was just selling stop. And so we've been like, you know, like when we should be like, you know, kind of moving the ball forward on some other product lines, because I'm a big fan of the PWR. And contrary to what people might believe, like I think that's a totally different boat than the XTR, and it's for 2 different people, and it's $1,000 cheaper almost, you know. So, you know,
PWR is where it's at for us. Or for me, I've got one in the garage. I love that thing. And when the XTR came out, Chad did some really funny, reels and memes and stuff of, the guy looking back at the other girl, and it was the XTR while he's holding hands with the PWR. And he knows that he was just kind of doing that for funny stuff. But to me, they fill 2 different voids. Yes. I like a kayak. I like performance. So obviously I like stability just as much as the next person. It needs to be stable if you're fishing from it, but a kayak with performance, especially if you're motorizing the thing. And, we've got Hans on from Bonafide next weekend here. So, the same guy that designed the PWR designed the XTR. So to think that the XTR is just going to be a slug in the water, because if you're going to put motors and you're going to put all of this resource and energy into the marketing and putting motors on it, you want it to perform. Because if it's a slug in the water with a paddle, it's going to be a slug in the water with a motor. And I like the direction at least Big Adventures is going with performance with motorized kayaks. Because if you look, say, at the Ascend 133, it was kind of ahead of its time, because you had a kayak that can come from the store with a motor. It's got the wiring in it. Now, granted, the wiring is not the best quality on the inside. The deck is flexing and cracking all over the place. But to the average guy that's looking at this and saying, "Oh, wow, that's really cheap. I can get a motor. I can get spot lock. I can, yeah, it's marketing." But
Big Adventures is certainly, put a foot forward where, hey, and like honestly, give credit where credit's due. Can doing sacrificial plates for the wiring and stuff on those boats. You still had to drill the hole in the boat, but like there was a sacrificial plate there to kind of like accommodate some of those things. And I think that's the right way to for the market to move, because you need ways to rig the boat. And so for a while everyone was like hiding their heads in the sand, motors. No, just figure out how to put a motor on your boat, or make power pole mounts so people can make mounts for a motor for your boat. Just figure it out. That's the direction. These are not kayakers. Everyone kind of tries to there's a I mean, you guys sell kayaks, canoes, the whole gamut. You can tell me right now definitively, is there a difference between a kayak fisherman and a kayaker? There's a slight difference.
Yeah, people have been doing it for decades. So they've been fishing from canoes. It just, you have more choices, more options, more platforms. Maybe someone doesn't want to buy a bass boat. Maybe they can buy a bass boat, but they like the functionality out of kind of a kayak crossover. And a lot of these companies, one of my favorite kayaks are the hybrid canoe kayaks. So Old Town's got the Next. Jackson had the Kilroy and the Tripper. The Ultimate FX12 from Native. There's a lot of them out there, and they give you that canoe performance and kayak functionality. So, crossovers are nothing new, but I was joking with someone the other day that one of these days, one of these kayak manufacturers are going to come out with a fiberglass big boat. It's going to be a boat. Like, one of them is going to make that leap. One of these companies, they're manufacturing products, they're going to go too far before they don't. You know what I mean? They're going to cross that line and then have to take a step back, but it's going to keep going forward. And and I don't think it stops with the XTR at all. I think they're going to come out with a legit boat one of these days, and you're going to have to start seeing some of these paddle shops stock boats after that.
I think the line just really becomes affordability, because like a lot of what's like, appealing about the plastic John boat kind of mentality is that like I can have big boat features, and like, for example, there's a guy like me, like I've got a 20-foot boat with all the trimmings on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I started the whole the interview, the whole podcast telling you I don't have any time to fish, but if I did have time to fish, I guarantee it would be on my kayak. That's just It just appeals to me in a way. So there's a wider market than most people understand, and I think like we're gonna end up somewhere like halfway in between, like where we think a kayak is right now and where we think a John boat is, and I think the definition is really gonna be like a plastic hull, right?
Yeah.
Like plastic hull is gonna be the definition, and then once you go to like something different, you're gonna be not a kayak, like we're not, a Hobie Pro Angler is not a kayak, and Sportsman's not a kayak, like none of them are kayaks, like that, like none of the like kayaks that we could kind of like conjure up right now like appeal to the traditional definition of a kayak. So
but one of the things that since the XTR came out, one of the things that him and I have talked about a lot is just, it may not be for you, but it's fitting the need for somebody. And something that somebody said this week, I think really hit home for me, was on the XTR. They're like, I can take my son out fishing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bingo. Yeah. If you're on the water, if you're fishing, if you're even just recreationally floating, if you're on the water and you're enjoying yourself, that's what it's about.
Oh, absolutely. And like, so like having a tournament ready rig that you can also take your son out fishing. I mean, that probably appeals to a few people. And then like, just to take it back to like the purist standpoint, like, I don't know, you could probably do the same thing on a 17-foot aluminum canoe.
Yeah.
I happen to like Grumman's,
But if you think about it too, and we'll say we're talking about the John boat versus kayak, a $5,000 kayak and a $5,000 John boat, you're talking about the high end, like the upper end of one, and probably middle lower of the other. And again, we were on the Alex Rudd's podcast there, and they were talking about like Alex probably has about 15 grand on his Pro Angler and just gear and electronics and all this. He said you can go to Dick's or Academy Sports and they have we've seen these too. It's just the John boat, no motor, no anything, just a boat. That's almost $4,000 there. So, can you buy a boat for some of the prices? Sure. But are you getting the same functionality? Obviously if you're comparing a high end, maybe a low end John boat or a used John boat you can get for a couple $100 versus, the Hobie Pro Angler or an Old Town Sportsman. Yeah, of course. But the amount of money you're going to have to put into that couple $100, that's a little different. But if you're just looking at putting an old motor on, you know, the $150 motor on a $300 boat and just put around, yeah, a high-end fishing kayak is probably not what you're looking for anyways.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, no, there's you know, like you get the get a boat market kind of people, and it's like, well, it's not for you, man. Like, what you don't know about, like, before people were buying fishing kayak, they were buying like $4,000 and $5,000 canoes. So, like, you know, they were already doing that. This market was already doing that, you know, previous to fishing. Really.
And the kayak deal just makes sure that we don't kill each other in the canoe.
Yeah, we like to mess with each other too much. Us in the same crowd, not going to be a good thing. Yeah, I can see that. So Michael was saying, or if you're floating close to 3 bills and don't want to exceed the weight limit of a lower rated kayak, being almost 3, want to be safe with all my equipment. And that's another thing. And that's a completely different set of circumstances when you're talking about weight capacities. Yeah, that's another thing.
Well, no, and I think that's something that the market has done really wrong, you know, by the consumer, is that they stay at capacity, and then their capacity includes the weight of the boat.
Yeah.
You have anglers that like going over rig and then get in dangerous situations, and like that's bullshit, I think. And you know, some of them have come back and like kind of like done like, oh, here's a rigged weight and here's the like, cool, you know, and like I don't know, like why are we playing games with it? It's like, how much weight can you put on the boat? That's what the weight rating should be. And it's so ridiculous. Like, the whole thing is so ridiculous.
I'm a huge fan of a standardized process. The problem with that is that it would almost have to be legislative at that point. It would almost have to be forced. Nobody wants to do usable weight capacity. Now, there's a couple of companies that do it in Old Town, Bonafide, Native, but honestly, most of them are guessing. You know what I mean?
100%. I don't disagree with that. Like,
some companies do, you know, what point, some companies will do the point in which the boat sinks, and some companies will do the point in which they come up to the scupper holes. Others will do the point where they say performance is severely hindered. So there's no standard meaning, and it's really confusing to the customer. So, and that's dangerous. That's a dangerous game to play, in my opinion.
They don't give any advice to the customer with regards to what kind of motor can you put on this, how much weight you can put on this, and it's all, you know, and they should all be better, bottom to top, all the brands. Like, it's not just one single brand.
No.
You needs to be better at that. Like, you know, could we possibly get like Coast Guard ratings on these boats? Like, you know, could we get like a Coast Guard recommended horsepower, or a Coast Guard recommended weight capacity? Like that, I think that's like, you know, that's something that would be like a big thing for our industry. And like for the tournament fishermen, it would be big too, because if their boats were horsepower rated, they'd be playing with bigger motors, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, and like that's like the big, you know, the big hang up right now. So, because like I think we're heading in a motor direction, right? I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we're heading in a motor direction. It's like, why are we're kind of messing with, like, I think we should be like, you know, let's figure out how big a motor we should put on a kayak and then throttle it from there. You know, it's kind of my idea, but like, we keep kind of like incrementally like going and going and going. And it's like, I don't know, like, why are we just slow rolling this? Like, just because, you know, Hobie has a fin drive, they're gonna slow roll this, or like what? Like, why are we slow rolling it? You know?
Yeah, and what you said is 100% correct. You know, the motor industry. I've done more motors this year than I had the previous 4 years. Mm-hmm. And you know, when you're talking about motors on a kayak, you know, you get back to that conversation. Is it a kayak? No, it's not. You know, even if you tell people that, it's not. but this is what you may want to do, what you're wanting to do. It's killing the pedal drive industry a little bit, I think, too. And I think a lot's been, there's been some content and videos out there on that. There's people that prefer pedal drives, and it's perfect for what they want to do. But, people originally got to pedal drives because they wanted a different way of propulsion. It wasn't because they wanted to exercise their legs more. It's because they wanted to cover more ground. Your legs are stronger than your arms and shoulders. And
Exactly.
now you got a motor. So now you're telling me I can get to my spot. I can fish without being out of breath, or my heart rate is not elevated, and I can cover more ground more efficiently. Yeah, sign me up. Where do I put the battery at? How big of a battery do I need to run all day? And that's the number one question I get asked for motorized is, how big of a battery do I need to run all day?
Yep.
And I was like, well, if you got the Motor Guide motor, it's got about a 51 or 52 amp at max draw. So if you're getting a 100 amp hour battery, you run it full throttle for 2 hours, you're going to be running out. But nobody does that really. But it's going to get to a point where people are going to want smaller batteries, more power, more amp hours, more, all of that. And you're starting to see that a little bit at ICAST this year. And I feel like so many people were talking about the boat versus kayak, the XTR, all of this stuff. But there was some cool stuff that came out at ICAST that you can kind of see the beginnings of things. So, Power Pole came out with the Move motor. Granted, it's really expensive, but what's expensive today may not be that expensive tomorrow. Fast motor, powerful motor. People are going to brushless motors, that quiet. Even Newport's doing the pro versions of their previous versions because they're quiet, more efficient. And of course, Motor Guide is discontinuing their XI3 in advance of their new motor, which is supposed to be announced next year here. So, it's interesting to see where it's going. But like you said, how many baby steps do we want to take before we start to really push that envelope?
Well, for example, like I think that Motor Guide will come with a new boat battery, or a boat motor, but I think they'll probably keep selling the same thing to the kayak market.
Yeah.
But the kayak market is probably not summated in 35 or 36 inch shaft length, and I think that's just sell it like a boat motor, man.
Yeah.
Just give us a little respect. Like I think 36 inches works for everybody who's going to be like inland or river, like fair weather all the time, and like that then 35 or 36 inches, right? And like I think you need a little bit of a deeper shaft anytime you're getting into anything that's a little bit more aggressive. Like if you get into open water, like you just that's gonna leave you pissed off that you cut your trolling motor shaft, a few inches too short. So I think the manufacturers need to like think about like it's not about it's like just a shorter shaft is not what like makes a kayak motor. Like figure it out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things that make a kayak motor. So, and we'll see when someone invests the time into it where we get like the whole thing, like the like the GPS like functionality of like spot lock, and then like also like the brushless motor functionality and the speed.
Yeah.
At some point we'll get all of that, and I don't know how. I think it'll be very capable of people. Like I think we'll be able to do it in like the next 12 months, but I don't think you're going to be able to do it affordably. I don't think like the average guy is going to be able to afford like the Power Pole Move and like a 36-volt battery, and like that's when you start getting into that like $20,000 kayak thing, and that's where a lot of people they draw that line.
Look at the boat market too, though. And we're talking about boats. So the boat market, you're looking at 50,000, 80,000 and above. And I know people have been spending that kind of money on a boat for a long time, but not the kind of boats that are costing that much. And I worked in the car business, God, 20, 24 years ago. You know, I can remember and I've got a weird memory on specifics, but you know, when I sold Chevys in 2000, it was a full-size Silverado. They didn't have crew cabs yet. It was just a little 4-door swing open extended cab. But you're talking about leather trim, 4-wheel drive, Z71 package, all of that. You're looking at about 34,000 on the top end, the highest end. Now that won't buy you a vehicle almost,
that won't buy you a pickup truck.
Yeah, it won't buy you a truck under 100,000 miles right now. And you know, it's moved so fast. And you know, to me, that makes that gives you really more of a need of better information. And you know, what's the right one for you? So you're not, you know, I don't want to buy a motor today for $1,500 when I've got to buy another motor that's 10 times better and 10 times more efficient. You know, like it's moving so fast. And I think in 5 years, we're going to be laughing at what we're using today.
For sure.
We're moving that quick.
We didn't think we'd be here in 5 years, like 5 years ago. I've been in the industry for 5 years, and like, you know, I kind of like in like 2019, I started kind of coming along. Like I was like, I put a motor on my boat, and I was like, that this is, and like, and that's when I kind of started learning how to do it. But it takes, I mean, I like in 5 years or 10 years, like it's not going to be recognizable what we're doing right now. You know, it's going to be a totally different thing. And then like, I hope the specialty retailers are still there, like servicing the market, because you know, truth be told, we are going to open a retail shop. So, you know, we're jumping in the water with you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing I was told by you know, somebody that owns a retail business, you know, kayak business, is a lot of these manufacturers, and we're talking about, you know, your mid to upper tier quality, you know, your U.S. made stuff, is when they moved away from what we call middle tier, and middle tier, you know, $500 to $800 for the longest time. A lot of those companies have moved out of that and just kind of pushed that price point to big box store. Well, the problem with that is for the paddle shops is those are not volume boats. When you got a boat that's $1,500 and above, you don't move those in volume. Those don't sell as quickly and as often. And when you get away from those affordable, so maybe not everybody wants electronics and a motor and a pedal drive, or just a, you know, a big 100-pound kayak. You know, they want something just simple recreation to float every couple of weekends.
No, for sure.
And a lot of those companies have moved away from that and gone to making your tournament ready fishing kayaks. And that hurts the paddle shops too. So boats that nobody makes a boat you can sell in volume anymore, unless, you know, you're going to a big box store. And that hurts too, because that's one thing I wish the industry would do, is still push the envelope. So don't get me wrong. I'm a fisherman first, kayaker second. So I'm always going to steer toward that. But when you look at people getting started, they can get a little turned off by, you know, to get a quality pedal drive kayak, you need to spend north of $2,000, or to get a quality paddle fishing kayak, $1,000 is just barely scratching the surface there. So, you know, we want to get, you know, these manufacturers need to want to get the beginner into it. You know, a lighter throw and go kayak, or a, you know, simpler kayak design, just to get people into that brand. Because Jackson used to do that really well, I think, where they had some kayaks that were very well priced. And once you get into that brand and you have that good experience with the brand, then you're going to want to say, okay, it's time to upgrade. What else does Jackson make, or what else does Bonafide or Native or Hobie make? You know, that's one thing I wish they would focus a little bit more on personally.
I think Crescent fills that market really well.
Yes, very true.
They're right. They're living in that market. And yeah, I mean, I agree. I think like the focus is well, like that's how I guess all these brands kind of sell. Like it's going to be the biggest, the best. Like if you go to the auto show, like they're showing the Corvette ZR1.
Yeah.
They're not like, hey, check it. Like I don't even know what the base model of Chevy is. Is it a Cavalier anymore?
I don't even know if they
check out a
make
Cavalier here.
That was so funny. I was just thinking that because like nobody's going to SEMA and saying, look at this Cavalier over here. Look at this Pontiac Sunfire, the Ford Taurus. I mean, the Escort. Yeah, like what gets the fishing kayaks and the sports cars, they move the needle, but you want to get people into that brand. Obviously Lamborghini is not going to make an entry level, car for under 20,000, but these kayak companies, I think would really, I would caution them, and they ain't listening to me obviously, but if they ever did, I would say, be careful on how high you go, because you don't want to cater to just the elite kayak fisherman. You want to cater to the person that is getting out of college and wants to get into kayaking. And I think that is where like you said, Crescent does feel that. Crescent's also focused on performance, which I also appreciate. Yeah. And you're starting to see the inflatables this year in ICAST. You're starting to see those. Sorry. No, go right ahead, man. But the inflatable innovation this year was the thing that really, that's the thing that opened my eyes up a little bit more.
I think there's a lot of opportunity in rigid inflatables for like people that are like right in this segment, Yeah. Just like a fishing kayak versus a canoe or whatever. It's just like kind of an alternative way to do what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And like I think inflatables like really haven't been given their due. They're awesome. Like there's a lot of really good inflatable there's a lot of really cool inflatable products out there. Like if you're just a kayak fisherman watching this and you go look at inflatables, you're gonna be like, what?
Yeah, and we get it all the time where we'll carry the NRS, the CUDA and the Pike and all that. And people say like, well, that's not going to stand up to the way I treat it. Like, yeah, it really will. Now, if you take a hook and take a hammer to it and just drive it in there, yeah, it's going to pop. But it's not your pool raft. They're made out of PVC material. Though they've been going down the whitewater rafting and down the Colorado River for years in inflatables. That's nothing new. To think that you can't fish off of one is not really given its fair chance, or not really being very open-minded on it. Not saying everybody, but they are really nice, like you said.
You know what I think happens? I think everyone gets this idea in their head that like, well, it's inflatable, so I gotta like break it down every time I go fishing. And I think that's like one of those big like mental breaks that the consumer has, where like then they talk themselves out of an inflatable. Like, well, I don't want to break it down every time. It's like, no, dude, you could like literally just like strap it to a trailer, just like anything else.
Yeah.
And like check the PSI every now and again, and you're good, bro. So like I think it's like one of those things, like it's an unknown, I think, mostly amongst like the kayak fishing community, is like, what does an inflatable look like? If I run this into the rocks, does it become a problem? Kind of thing.
Yeah, and 100%, because when I was probably one of those guys, to be honest with you. So when I am, somebody had wanted me to, we just started carrying these, and the NRS, and they were really, I was surprised. So I took the NRS CUDA out, and it's like a paddleboard style with a frame seat, and I got to learn a little bit more about it. I took it out. The entire thing weighed 31 pounds, fully inflated. And that's when I learned about drop stitch technology. And I'm like, wow, like this is really an untapped market, especially, for fishing. And then this year at ICAST, I see Newport coming out with their craft that you can put the NT 300 on it and just steer that thing with speed. And you got swivel seat, then you got tandem capability, and then you got the aisle, fly catch, I think it was. Like, these are all really nice looking. They're not just your basic, big box store looking stuff. They're quality made. They got somebody, in a boardroom right now drawing up the next design about how they could make these better. So
yeah, I mean, I think Trey over at Innovative Sportsman is doing a great job with an inflatable. There's a lot of room to grow if you get the market to believe in that technology. And it's just it's like I don't know. It'll take as long as it took the fishing market to believe that you could catch it out of a roto-molded plastic kayak. So it's like they're stubborn. We're stubborn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think it'll take a minute to get people on board with it. But man, if you've never been in one, and again, if if any of you listen, if you have a local paddle shop nearby that carries this product, and that's what we're into here, especially with new products, it's hard to just talk to somebody about, man, you need an inflatable, get them in it, get in it, play around with it, paddle it around, see how easy that is. Not everybody has a house and a garage or a shop building. Sometimes they live in an apartment. Sometimes you need that really tight, that tight quarter storage.
College students.
Yeah.
Let me mention something about that. And to all the viewers, don't be the person that goes in and asks a million questions to the guy at the specialty paddle store and goes and buys it over at the big box store.
Oh yeah.
That's not cool. Like, because I feel like that's where we're one of the things that's one of the problems in the industry right now is that you guys are doing the heavy lifting in the consumer education market, and then yeah.
We've had that happen, but we've also had the reverse happen where a big box store around us actually sent them to the shop.
Hey, and big shout out to them, because we ended up selling them the same kayak that they could have bought there at a better price. But still, we don't live, again, this area doesn't have a tremendous amount of competition, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because, in my opinion, competition makes things better. But in Arkansas specifically, I mean, we had one large paddle shop closed down, and one of them drastically backed off their supply. So, by choice or whatnot, it's hard to say, but I like seeing the small paddle shop. I like seeing people open up the paddle shop. I like seeing, that gives more options, that gives more access, and it gets more people into it. Now, I'll do a video or a podcast where I'm talking about, support your local paddle shop. And it's inevitable. I'll get a couple people message me saying, hey, I went to my local paddle shop, like you said, and they didn't know anything about any of the stuff they sold. So there does need to be some accountability there. The fact that somebody's giving them that opportunity, I appreciate. Now, if that shop doesn't take hold of that responsibility, hey, you gave it your all. Call the shop if you have to drive 2 or 3 hours. Make sure they got what you're looking for and that you can demo it or do something. But like you said, don't demo it so you can buy it online or something.
There's a lot of COVID warriors in the business that are still hanging on, and they're gonna die out over all this. I hate that tendency, I hate that consumer tendency to go to a specialty store, get all the information. The whole reason that you can operate a specialty store is because you have the specialty information. Don't just grab it all and walk out the door. That's almost the same as stealing. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good way to put it, though.
Yeah, and that drives me nuts, man.
And what I hate to see is, I hate to see people learn the hard way. So, say they go to our shop and maybe they don't talk to somebody or it's really busy, and they, like you said, they leave without the information. But I tell people that work at the shop, when we're training them, it's you gotta know what you're selling. You gotta know what you're talking about, because if people are just walking in and out, they're just looking at a plastic boat and they're like, okay, why is this thing $1,500? Like, why would someone do this? And then they go to the grocery store and they buy one for $300. Well, then they take it out in the water, they flip it over. It doesn't, the weight capacity is not good. The seat's uncomfortable. And they thought, man, we should have looked at one of those nicer ones with the nicer seats. And, that's what I mean by finding out the hard way. If they buy one that's foreign made and from a big box store and their seat strap breaks, that's the most common thing that we get at the store is someone says, hey, I got a part on my seat that broke while I was out in the water. First question is, what kind of kayak is it? And they say, well, it's a Pelican or a Lifetime or, any of that. We can't get the parts for that. And the place they bought it from can't get it either. And they've just spent, now don't get me wrong.
Not can't get, won't get.
Exactly. And when you spend $300 or $500, to me, that's still a lot of money. It may not be in the scheme of a quality kayak, but nobody wants to go outside. I don't want to go outside and I don't want to burn $300 or $400. So, to make sure that you're doing the right thing, that's like you said, that's where your specialty shops go. It doesn't matter if it's kayaks or outdoor supply or hunting goods. All of those people, that's all they do. They don't sell leggings and lawnmowers and all this. They're just dealing in that product. And granted, if they don't know anything about that product, that's kind of on them too. So, I make them earn it.
We call ourselves like an outfitter, upfitter, and like honestly, like we believe in the specialty, like we believe in the dealer market, like as opposed to the big box market. Like that's somewhere I've always like. Since we've had the margins to be able to like service that market, that we've always been there, and it's super important to us. But like, like the consumer is this whole other beast. And like, what do they do? Like a lot of them are just going to like defer to buying the cheapest kayak they can buy. And like, they don't realize the ramifications of buying it the way they buy it. And then, and then 30 days later, like, oh, my pedal drive's having problems. Oh, well, sorry, we don't do warranty here. Just gonna have to submit it through Johnson, or whoever, I'm not trying to call Johnson out. That was
but what you talk about is something that I see on the channel here more than in person. But when someone says, or you go on Facebook and there's a lot of groups that are dedicated to specific brand of kayaks. It doesn't matter if it's Hobie or if it's Bonafide or Jackson or Pelican, Lifetime, anything. They're out there. And when someone says, I'll never buy from company X because their customer service is terrible, I shouldn't engage as much as I do, but it's important to me that people understand that okay, where are you going? Are you emailing the factory or are you getting are you going to your paddle shop? Because it sounds to me like it's poor paddle shop customer service versus, going directly to the factory.
I'm super sympathetic on that end because I understand manufacturing and I understand how hard that is. But
there's no one guy.
It shouldn't be as hard as it's been for the last while. Yeah, maybe like year, 18 months. It shouldn't be this hard.
It because all the people I deal with from the companies, they don't just wear the warranty hat. They're working in the shop, they're working in the factory. And there's no ivory tower to a kayak manufacturer. There's no corporate office that looks like you've probably seen these. You go to Sparta, Tennessee, or Fletcher, North Carolina. These aren't like these palaces. No, they're
the palatial estates in Fletcher, North Carolina. They're like small like businesses that are like run by Americans. Just like that's all it is, man. Like
their job is keeping those ovens running.
No one's going like vacationing in the Hamptons, selling kayaks. I can assure you.
Yeah, there's no rich people in the paddle sports industry.
I've been doing this for a while. Like if they're holding me out on the money, dude, I'm gonna smack somebody.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And so like when I hear that, it's like, well, I emailed them and they haven't responded back. Like, well, what paddle shop did you buy it from? And say, well, I bought from so and so Outdoor Supply. It's like, well, go to them. When your Ford or Chevy has problems, you don't go to Detroit. You go
to the Chrysler.
Yeah. And to me, it's usually your paddle shop's got a specific person that they know to talk to with. Whether it's Perception or Hobie or Jackson or any of those. And then that's where we get it done at. But if you just email it, you're almost doing it into the void. And, it shouldn't be that way, but it kind of needs to be. There's no call center. So there's no like cubicle farm of people that are answering phones and emails. Their job is to get as many kayaks out as possible. And then the other half of that factory is to sell those kayaks to paddle shops or big box, they got to get them out there. They got to get the money for them to keep running. So, like you said, there's no rich people in it, but they're a lot of times they're kind of walking. Some of them walking that fine line on, telling people to go home or okay, let's keep these ovens turning. So,
no, it's like honestly, they're being the manufacturers are being smart for once. Yeah. They've been throwing out kind of COVID level product for a while and just being like, hey, take it. And so they're, like now, like they're in a situation where they're like, okay, let's dial that back. Let's like run a real business right now.
Yeah.
And let's like find out how many boats people need. And that's a good step in the right direction, man. Like
some of them do it better than others. I will say that.
But, there's don't even get me started.
Yeah, I know. I'm not throwing anyone on the bus as far as the quality of their product, but man, some of them are all about, wanting us to take more boats than we need. And we got to be smart. So, I mean, we're a large kayak retailer, but if we make some stupid decisions for a year or two, like we could be on the list of one of those shops that are closing down or
exactly.
So,
and why would you want, like, why do you want to take, why would you want to just like agree to take like, different like SKUs from a manufacturer that you can't sell?
Yeah.
I'm sure you got that. Again, not naming any names.
No.
But yeah, that's but here's the thing: is you keep doing that to the local, like the specialty dealer, and then you find out what the specialty or what the big box dealer market looks like. Yeah. You want to see what that looks like? Okay, it looks like you're not selling like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 kayaks anymore. Get out.
No.
They can't sell them either. Shields was selling a 360 from last year for $2,700.
I have seen more of that in the last few months than anything. Like Shields has been getting rid of their Hobies for just pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
And we had a guy that bought a PWR from me that all rigged up. We did the motor and the battery and the wiring and all that. And on the way to pick it up, he just happened to pick up a Hobie Outback. It was like from a year ago. And I was telling him, like, so some of those they're demo models and they don't have warranty to them. So I told him, like, man, if you're okay with, if something goes wrong, it comes out of your pocket, hey, whatever. But man, he bought them and the price kept changing when he was telling me about it. But I mean, still, like, the deals are out there. Just make sure you know what you're getting. Don't think you're going to get something with full factory warranty. So if that drive goes out, that's not a cheap fix. But if it's in the budget and if you saved a lot of money, yeah, it might be worth it. But I think a lot of it had to do with a lot of people want to get rid of those previous drives because again, Hobie came out with that new 360. I wouldn't call it a fix, but they did make some improvements with the belt and the tensioner system and not getting stranded out there. And
call it what it was. It was a fix upon they had two like problems. and they had a failing drive, and so they did a little locking mechanism so you could do that. And then they had a problem with cracking seat posts, and so they put a aluminum plate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I like their stuff, but I'm concerned with them, to say the least. The Mexico thing is what it is, but when they start looking at big box store, I'm like, man, I don't know that that's the move for them. It's to the person wanting to buy a Hobie, that may not matter a whole lot. It should, but for the longevity of the company, I'm not sure going big box is going to be the move for them to,
It's just not. It's like the kayak fishing is niche enough that we need the specialty dealers. Like companies like Ketch need the specialty dealers 100%. That's the way this business works. And like the healthy specialty dealers will outlive all this whatever BS that happens right now. But like it's not, you're not selling we're not selling a kayak that's like already rigged, and so like you need someone that knows what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like when you go and order your boat from like a marina where like you're like speccing everything and like it just gets delivered on the trailer, like all like that, so like, but you need that person for the kayak business, and that's the specialty dealer. It's not big box store ever.
Yeah. Well, man, we're at an hour and 16, which is about average for us. Heck yeah. Man, anything you want to talk about as far as what you got coming up, what you got going on there that people should know about?
No, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. We're working on some PWR stuff, including a trapdoor that'll be like kind of cool for people in the next. Little new little part for the. I'll send you some pictures after this.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a little trapdoor thing for the PWR. We've got some new PA stuff. Sorry. And like some unlimited stuff that's coming up right away. But
I'm excited to hear about the unlimited stuff.
I hope it's sooner rather than later, man. It's been a struggle for me.
You're not the only one, though. Trust me. It's not COVID level supply issue, but we've starting to see some supply issues that may not have been, in the last couple of years. But I think the industry is starting to get healthy again. 22 was kind of a down year, I think, for everybody in the industry. And then 23 was okay. 24, I think 25 is kind of what I would call the rebound or back to healthy. Because, man, COVID really, it flooded the used market for one thing, because everyone went out and bought kayaks. Even it didn't matter if it was the right one for them.
Yep.
Sure.
Everyone had a stimulus hole burning a hole in their pocket there, and if they're wanting to get into kayaking, you're instantly adding that $1,300 to your kayak budget. So that'll get you in a really good quality kayak. And man, we're having like old men and old ladies buying like heavy duty Jacksons and Bonafides, and I'm like, are you sure? Because like, how are you transporting this? And then literally in next year they're coming back like, this thing is just too heavy. And so you see a lot of those on Facebook Marketplace now, and maybe someone bought 5 or 6 of them and they only needed 1 or 2. So it was an interesting year. It was like the Wild West. It was just like we couldn't get them in fast enough. Most of the trucks coming in were pre-sold before we even got them. So like it was a lot of blank spaces in the stores, and we just couldn't get them. So everyone wanted them, but it's like having a business where you got customers lined up around the corner, but you couldn't sell them anything. So
well, no, like honestly, it's like I hope the people that were in the business before the COVID boom, because everyone was like, "Oh, social distancing, kayaks,"
RVs,
I hope everyone like kind of like makes it out like because there were a lot of Johnny come latelys. There's a lot of businesses that are getting sold right now and liquidated right now because they can't do this thing. And that's the same way I feel about the specialty market. We got to support your local dealer, bro.
Man, we appreciate you. And, again, crazy time we're living in. Crazy time. I work for a paddle shop that they probably never in a million years thought they were going to be getting into fishing and motors and all this. They got into it because they were two brothers that loved to canoe rivers and, love to get out and just see nature. And then now I'm asking them to order, can you order a dozen motors? I need motors for the bow and stern. I need wiring kits. And that's what I get excited about. I get excited about the motors and the fishing, but I always try to, I don't want to forget the people that are just there to recreational float and get out there. And, they may carry a pole every great once in a while, but that's literally about over half of our business is just recreational stuff. But this time of year, when we're getting into winter time, late fall, that's rigging season. That's when people are getting ready for that next year and, chasing those green monsters out on the lake there. So.
Well, it's been a pleasure being on with you guys.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you, bud.
The best of luck with your shop and your show. Like, it's been a pleasure being on, and till next time, man.
Awesome. Same here. And guys, if you haven't already, you can check out Ketch Products, and then just shout. It's ketchproducts.com. They don't just do measuring boards. They do mounting kits. They got bundles. They got different kinds of boards. You can do custom boards, motor mounts, and just a wide variety of stuff. So definitely check them out at ketchproducts.com. Duke, thank you so much, bud. Look forward to talking to you in the future. And then I'm sure I'll see you on Facebook here every now and then.
I appreciate your time, guys.
Hey, no problem at all, bud. Thank you, everybody.